setting Washington's agenda. The Morning Majority, 5 to 9 on 630 WMAL.
That's the Juan Williams theme song, isn't it? Still the Juan. Juan, I know that's bad. I'm sorry. Juan Williams is on the line from your Fox News channel. Hey, Juan, how are you?
Good morning, Brian.
Well, listen, you heard the president's speech last night, listening to members of the Morning Majority who also participated in our program. They aren't too impressed with what they've heard, but I'm sure you found something that you really liked in it.
Yeah, I thought he was pretty feisty. I thought that may have been the best speech of his presidency.
Do you really think so, Juan?
Oh yeah, I thought he came across as strong and full of ideas and upbeat and can do. And I thought putting the pressure on the Congress. Now, the downside of it, and I think this is really apparent to people who are critics of the president, is how's he going to pay for it? Is this really just an appeal to raise taxes? But if you're talking, Brian, in pure political terms, I think you'd have to say he has now put the Congress, and specifically Republicans in Congress, on the defensive, whereas for most of the past year, it's the president who's been put on the defensive by the Republicans in Congress.
We talked to Dan Pfeiffer a little while ago and asked him, hey, where is the actual bill? And he said it won't be there for a while. But it's also this thing, Juan, about, that it's the tired old canard of we're going to raise taxes on millionaires and billionaires. But when you ask them the specifics of it, it comes down to the fact that they're talking about people who are 100,000-aires, people who, have small businesses in this country who create jobs.
Well, what I heard from him was, in fact, that he is very aware of the importance of supporting small business, and that small business would get big tax breaks and tax credits, and that if you hire people who've been out of work for an extended period of time, if you hire veterans, there are additional tax breaks available. I think a lot of that, in fact, has been endorsed, and this was I think the trick in it for the president is that a lot of that has been endorsed, even proposed by Republicans, like that Georgia plan, Brian, that would allow people to continue on unemployment benefits as they try out for jobs, as they learn skills. So I think a lot of that is really, like a catch-22 for Republicans. How do you oppose something that you had previously supported? As I said, if we come back to the idea, how is he going to pay for it? It may be there is the point where the president starts to fall down, and you say, it's really raising taxes on people who make hundreds of thousands of dollars. I don't see that.
Well, that's why he confirmed it. He said, yes, that's right. It's the cutoff has always been $250,000.
Well, that's what I said, $250,000. If you
He's not a millionaire.
$250,000, and if you're a couple, over 500. But the bigger point is, I think, and this is what where I think there could be some compromise. Certainly for people who are making more than $1 million.
I wonder. I think Republicans have sort of acquiesced in some of these things, saying, oh yeah, well, some of them are decent ideas, including the Georgia plan that you've pointed out, and I think the payroll tax cut is not terribly objectionable to many people.
No.
So it may be that in parts they can say, okay, we agree with this, or we agree with that, maybe not the whole thing. I wonder what you think about the president's ability. He's going out on the road, he's going to sell the plan,
right,
but he's not been terribly good at selling things on the road in the past. Do you think he has, in this new form, and I know a lot of liberals liked the feistiness last night, do you think he has what it takes to sell it to the American people?
Well, the question is, does he have the spirit? Does he have the get up and go, Mary Catherine? Because, that's exactly what's been missing from, I think, a lot of people who voted for President Obama, and I'm saying people who are independents here. I'm not even talking about the base,
right,
of his liberal base. Independents who thought, I can see some spark in this guy, I can see some energy, some sense of looking forward, and they just thought, what, he's become ineffective. He was the shrinking president. I think last night he showed that there's some air still in the balloon. The question that you're raising, and I think this is still out there, especially for those independents, is as he goes on the road, is it going to be the same old stuff? Are you going to feel like you've heard this speech before? Or is it that this is a President Obama who's saying, I'm the one who's actually trying to get something done in Washington? Remember, everybody likes to beat up on Washington. Everybody likes to beat up on politicians. And everybody can see that even though the president's numbers are down in the dumps, around 40%, the Congress's numbers are even lower. So he has the opportunity here in a political sense, and I know Brian's listening to this intently, to really beat up on the Congress and try to make Congress the target and separate himself out. And I think that's what we're going to see on the road, is that he's going to say, I'm not like those bums.
Right. And a quick follow-up to that. Can that energy and can just blaming Congress overcome? I mean, I've seen a lot of polls lately that suggest, the ABC Washington Post one the other day suggests that people are not interested in bigger government with more spending, maybe not interested in spending for stimulus, even in the state of California, according to some polls. Right. So can he overcome that ideological shift?
No, I think one of the big things that's happened during his time in office, and I think this is what the White House is so upset about and why they have put in motion this go out and sell it effort, Mary Catherine, is that they feel that the stimulus has been unfairly maligned, that, 40% of the stimulus was a tax cut, and yet most Americans don't see the stimulus as having put money in their pocket. They say, well, why didn't it reduce unemployment? And he says, well, I tried to make sure that all of these infrastructure projects were properly vetted, and they weren't exactly ready to get it shovel ready, is the way he put it, and that became a point of mockery. So they think this time around, let's go out and sell aggressively what we're doing, why we're doing it. Let's make it happen quickly. Let's put all those tax cuts and tax credits. They don't have to be shovel ready. They go right into people's pockets, and they help especially. This goes back to the point was raised earlier, small business and individuals. I think they're going to be hammering that hard to say this money is actually stimulating the American economy, whereas previously they thought, oh, it's obvious, everybody will see it, and they feel they lost the argument. You're exactly right, Mary Catherine. Over that time, that argument about is stimulus good or bad has been lost. Stimulus bad, and he didn't mention that word stimulus.
Yeah, he didn't. Yeah, we noticed that too. By the way, I think it is. It's $250,000 for couples. I mean, that's the highest tax bracket.
Yeah, 200 and 250.
Yeah, so it's not $500,000 for couples. I mean, it's $250,000 for couples. It's the highest tax bracket.
I thought it was $250 for an individual.
Well, we would know this if we actually had the details of the plan or the actual legislation sitting in our hands today.
That would be helpful.
Wouldn't it be helpful, Juan?
Yeah, all right, Juan. Thanks for coming on the show. We appreciate it.
Juan.
Always the best. The Morning Majority. I'm a big listener. I was just fascinated this week as you guys were talking. So, especially when you talked about American competitiveness as compared to Canada, and Mary Catherine said Canada could be cool if it became the 51st state. I thought that was pretty good.
Thanks for listening, Juan. We appreciate it.
You're welcome, guys.
All right, Juan Williams, Fox News political analyst and author of the book Muzzled, here with